Welcome to another Marketing Short with Dr. Harvey. Today we are talking about building and managing customer relationships. We're starting here with thinking about the customer decision journey. You may have also heard of the customer decision-making process or consumer journeys or customer journeys. And there are a variety of different models that have been used to frame this idea that a customer goes through a process to learn about the brand, to discover they have a problem that needs solving, all the way through to actually making a purchase and hopefully advocating for your brand in the future. So there's the AIDA model: attention, interest, desire, action. There's the traditional customer journey funnel, which starts with awareness, and then we have consideration and preference, purchase, loyalty, and advocacy. These traditional models, however, typically are one way. And so that just means that we have communication coming from the company, from the firm, going to customers as they go through a very linear, standard process of their journey. What we know now is that communication is really a two-way dialogue between companies and customers, especially as technology continues to advance and open up those opportunities for customers to communicate back to the company. We generally think of problem recognition as the beginning of a customer journey, but we can also really look at it as a trigger, where a trigger can push us towards an initial purchase. It triggers the customer decision journey to begin. And at that point, we can really move to any of the different phases of the process. Sometimes they can be skipped, and it really goes around and round and round, like shown in this modified customer journey graphic. So this could be a need that we have. A common one would be moving into a new stage of life, like graduating college and getting a full-time job, and needing to buy a new wardrobe. It could be something like hearing a review for a new movie on the radio. It could be something you see on social media or around you externally. But really, it's anything that a customer experiences that influences their want to purchase something. And triggers don't end at that first information gathering step. It's not always a linear process. This can continue to occur throughout the journey. Okay. But generally, we think of after that trigger happens, we start gathering information, at least initially. Right? So this could be passive, this could be active. We may be searching for information. We may just be absorbing information, perceiving information around us. But the Jim Lukinski of Google says that zero moment of truth is that moment when you grab your laptop, your phone, or some other kind of device and start actively learning about a product or service that you're thinking about buying. So that's an important point for us to know when that is, what triggers that, and how we can make sure that our communications as a company are meeting a customer's needs in that way. After we get our information, we move to the consideration set, where we're thinking about here are our initial set of brands we might consider purchasing. We're still gathering information. We're adding and subtracting brands as we continue to process and gather information. And we may go through this information gathering to consideration set a number of times before we kind of get to that final 2 or 3 brands that we're trying to decide between. Ultimately, then we move to the preference stage, where the customer would finally review, do that final decision of the short list, and maybe a shorter list, and then makes a final decision. At this point, at least in this particular design, that preference is not something that the consumer has acted on yet. That doesn't happen until we actually make the purchase. So the customer ultimately selects one brand, makes the purchase. So this is our first moment of truth. So we had our 0 moment of truth where they're searching, our first moment of truth where the customer is actually converted to a user. And again, we have to make sure that our firm, our brand is on target and on brand with our messaging, with making sure information is in the right place, making sure the product is in the right place and fits the brand promise and what's expected, what the customer is expecting, that we've communicated expectations clearly as well. And finally, then we have our post-purchase. We're here, of course, we've engaged with the brand. The customer has used the brand. And here we have what they call the second moment of truth, because it really shows us what the customer's assessment of whether the promised value proposition actually was delivered. So we hope that our goal is for customers to have a positive experience so that we can continue a relationship with that customer. The brand and the customer will have a relationship at that point. The goal is to create a loyalty loop, which again you see here on this little graphic, such that the customer continues to purchase the brand over and over again and become a brand loyal customer. As a firm, it's important for us to manage the customer decision journey so that we can be involved at each point, clearly communicating to customers. Because customers are pulling that information, we're pushing information, and we want to make sure that we as the firm are providing the right information at the right times. It's estimated that about 2/3 of the touch points during the evaluation stage are customer-driven pull activities where they are actively looking at information, going on social media and gathering reviews and all of those sorts of things. So we really need to think of every interaction with the customer as an ongoing relationship, a potential for an ongoing relationship. We also need to look at the customer decision journey as a firm to consider where we're most likely to lose customers. Is it that we are getting to the first consideration set, but we don't, as customers continue to gather information and go through that loop, that we don't make it to the preference stage? Where is it that we are most likely to drop off and not be purchased by certain customers? So next we'll come back, and next time we're going to talk about another little marketing short about customer experience and how we can manage the customer experience, what it is, and going through those touch points as part of the customer experience.